Welcome to the first session of Bitesize QI, the Essential series. And the purpose of this series is to introduce you to the key concepts of quality improvement and how it's done here at CLCH. So we're going to jump into the first session, which is called How to Improve. My name's Sid Beach and I'm the QI training lead at CLCH. And in this session, we'll be talking you through the main method that we use, the main framework that we use to deliver improvement, which is called the Model for Improvement. It's a really simple tool to help you to frame your QI project and to guide you through the steps that we take in order to improve. So the aim for me is to introduce you to the Model for Improvement. It's the methodology that we use here at CLCH, and it's not unique to CLCH. It's used by the majority of NHS trusts and other healthcare organisations across the planet. And what I'd like you to do is to recognise that this model for improvement is the methodology that we've used and to have some awareness of the model and how it can be used in practice. So we have a saying in improvement that QI is a team sport. It's really challenging to go through any change on your own, and so we recommend that you have a wraparound support structure to lead you through a quality improvement project. And there are 4 other key components to that framework, to that team, aside from yourself. The first is your colleagues, the people that you work with day in, day out, who provide care alongside you and have that expertise in that local area. It's important that you have their support and share the progress of your quality improvement project with them. They may be able to help with things like bouncing ideas off one another, collecting data through looking at the notes, looking through electronic systems, speaking to patients, and helping with improvement as well. The other member of the team, another member is an improvement specialist. And we have a quality improvement team at CLCH. And their role is to support and facilitate improvement within the divisions. So there's a dedicated person within every division who's there to support and mentor others in improvement. There will also be other people within your teams and within your divisions who are there to support you with improvement, who have been trained in QI, trained in coaching and mentoring others through improvement. And so make sure that you tap into that expertise so that they can help you as much as is needed. A third member of the team is something called a senior sponsor, and that's someone who works permanently within the organisation and has that clout, that authority to help things become unstuck. If you face certain obstacles, then they can help you to overcome those, but they can also act as a sounding board and provide advice and guidance on the pathway that you're taking, on the interventions that you're planning and the changes that you want to make. They will have a lot of local experience and a local expertise to help you with that knowledge that you may need in order to progress. And the fourth and final member of the team, aside from yourself, are patients and carers. And patients and carers are a crucial part of any improvement team and should be used to ensure that the changes that you're making are in the best interests of patients and their carers. Often we can make assumptions on their behalves that can be wholly inaccurate, and so it's important to speak with patients as much as you're able to ensure that you're doing the right thing by them. We all want to improve care, we all want to make sure that we're providing the best care that we can to our patients, and so involving them in improvement is really important. Now, you are the central point of this team, but actually they should all be involved with one another and aware of one another. So your colleagues should know who the senior sponsor is, the improvement specialist should know who all members of the team are as well, etc., etc. Once you've formed your team, once you've got a senior sponsor, once you've got your team on board, once you've got a patient involved, and once you've identified an improvement specialist or expert to support you, the next step is to jump into planning your improvement project using the Model for Improvement. The Model for Improvement is a simple framework that we use that asks 3 simple questions and is then followed through by something called a plan, do, study, act cycle. Once you've answered these 3 questions, then you can go on to testing change, but it's important that you answer these beforehand so that we're on the right track. The first question asks, what are we trying to accomplish? Which is essentially asking you, what is the aim of this piece of work? What is the purpose of what you're doing? It's important to set a SMART aim so that you know where you're going, by how much you want to improve by when you think you will improve by, and where the focus is of improvement. Otherwise, we can get lost if we don't have something as a guiding light to work towards. The second question, after we've set our aim, is called, how will we know that a change is an improvement? And this is asking us, what data or what measures are we collecting to be able to evaluate the impact of our work? You won't know if you've made an improvement if you don't collect data before and after a change at the very minimum. So it's important that you identify the key things that you want to measure throughout your QI project to know whether you've had an impact, a positive impact on safety and patient care. The third question of the model of improvement is, what change can we make that will result in an improvement? And this is asking you, what ideas or what hunches do you have? What things have you noticed that you think you might be able to change for the better? Often you will know what you want to do. You'll have identified that something needs changing and you'll know what you think might work. So this question is often one of the easiest to answer for healthcare staff. If that's not the case, then there are techniques that you can use to try to identify ideas and work together. It's important to discuss with your colleagues, with your senior sponsor, with your patients, because if you're struggling with an idea for improvement, often these people will know the answers or have suggestions of what they might think will work. So 3 questions. Effectively, what's your aim? What data are you collecting? What ideas do you have? Once you've answered those 3 questions, then the next step is to test the change. And so we test change on a small scale in healthcare to minimise risk and to make sure that we're getting it right before we can then scale it up and spread it across the hospital. And the way that we do that is through plan, do, study, act cycles, or PDSA cycles. These are repeated cycles of change. So you plan a test, you do the test on a small scale, you study the results, and then you act on the results. If it worked, then we adopt the change. If it needs some further improvement, we adapt to the change. And if it didn't work, that's great. We've learned from it. We abandon the change and we try something again. The end result of every PDSA cycle is normally another PDSA cycle. So it's a repeated cycle of improvement. That's the model for improvement in a nutshell. Next steps for you are to look at further videos on each of these aspects of the model for improvement.